So let's start with the age-old debate. How do you pronounce this map name?
I would pronounce it as Longinus. But
Interesting.
I'm just a Dutchie.
What do you think about Longinus?
It's a pretty sensual name, but I don't think it's appropriate.
Oh, that's great. Why don't you tell us how a Zerg would play against a Protoss on this map?
Yeah, it's a pretty hard map for Zerg against Protoss, because when Protoss gets to that 2-gas expansion, that gives them the gas to support Reavers, Archons, and they can just get this like massive, unbeatable army of like 6 Reavers and then just all Archons and a couple of High Templars, and there's not much Zerg can put against that to defeat it. So the point for Zerg is to try to delay that 2-gas expansion for Protoss as long as possible, and build up Hive Tech and get 4 or 5 gas and try to kill this Protoss army before it gets to that unstoppable massive Archon Reaver.
I guess we're seeing a lot with Zhouzi or Shoutzul or however you want to say his name, and Mondragon especially. They're opening 9-pool speed a lot, and I see you're opening 12 hatch here. Do you ever open 9-pool speed, and when's it appropriate, and when is 12 hatch better?
I think for this map, I don't think 9-pool speed or 10-pool speed would be a good idea, because on almost all the spots, Protoss can make a wall in with Gateforge and then just put one probe in the middle, and it's completely blocked off, so there's no option of running by. However, on maps like Blue Storm and other maps without ramps, it's often easy to sneak a few links into the Protoss base, and then it's definitely a very good build, because you can do that and you can stop scouts, and Protoss is basically completely blind until they get a Corsair. But on this map, you can't do that because they block off your links, so I think 12 hatch is a decent option. You can be in trouble if they go double 9 gate, which many Ps do, but with some drone micro you can often still stop it, and I think it's the best opening for this map.
Okay, now say you've opened 12 hatch, 11 pool, and you haven't scouted Protoss. Are you going to 3 hatch in your main, or would you just assume Protoss is fast expanded if you haven't seen a Zealot out and make your 3rd hatch at the mineral only?
Well, as you can see, I'm drone scouting, so it rarely ever happens that I don't know what Protoss is doing. If it does happen, then I would make my hatch in my base, because if he does 2 gate and I don't know about it and I expand it by mineral only, I'm gonna be fucked. So I would take it safe and put the hatch in my base.
It's just it's so funny, like how the high level players just have completely different, set of theories. Because I mean, we've seen Timothy play where he'll just take his 3rd base without even trying to scout, just assuming the player fast expands. But I think playing safe is always the better option, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you can do it and you can take the risk. Often you'll be right, but it's just not the way that I play this game. I will do a safe move before a very risky move. I guess it just depends on, play styles and, just that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the kind of weaker players who are going to play risky, you might be able to steal a few games here or there, or I don't know, even sneak your way into the top 48. But you're probably not going to be able to get through to the round of 16. Unfortunately, I mean, you need solid play to be able to play at a high consistent level.
Yeah, but you see it everywhere. You see it in sports and other sports. A team will take risks to get far, and there will be the occasional player that will have success by playing unexpected, taking risk and sneaking out a tournament win. And there's always players that are going to be this way, but the real champions and the people who are going to dominate for longer periods of time, really own this game. They'll just play the safe way. And it's also much better for learning process if you're a beginning player. To just, you know, get all the aspects of the game down, and then you can start thinking about, you know, strategies.
Okay, so let's talk about how you're gonna follow up getting into the mid game. I've seen a lot of Zergs. I've actually struggled with Zerg versus Protoss, and I've tried to copy various styles. It hasn't really worked out. You see some Zergs put down +1, and you see some go layer after 3 hatchery. You see some go 4 hatchery layer. So can you talk us through what decides how you're gonna open going into the mid game?
Well, on this map, it's pretty common for Protoss to get early weapon attack and get 3 or 4 gates and try to pressure you, so I had this in the back of my mind, and also I saw his forge, you know, upgrading. So I decided to get gas before my 4th hatch and go for the carapace upgrade in time, and then get a 4th hatch and go 4 hatch lurker ling, which eventually the goal would be to get lurkers at his mineral only and stop him from taking another expansion before he can, you know, get it going and get cannons up there. And also this is a good counter to his timing attack with +1 attack and a big group of units, because my upgrade will finish and I'll have pumped lings from 4 hatch, and it'll be just in time to fend this attack effectively and switch to the offense and try to delay his expand.
So Keen is saying in Dino vs Quack. Sorry, I missed the question. He made, what did he make, his third? I'm so terrible. I'm sorry. Keen, why don't you just ask it on vent, man? He made his third hatch at another mains natural. Okay. On Longinus?
I think that's really risky on this map, given the fact that so many Protoss players will power one weapon attack units, Zealot, Templar, DT, Archon, and they will pressure you. So if your next expansion is that far away from your main, and your units are going to be all over the place, I don't think it's very safe at all. And on top of that, you don't even need it, because you have these 2 gas expansions that are in the corners. So why would you take a mains natural only to like get 1 gas? It just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's much better to start with your mineral only, and then, you know, eventually take your 2 gas base, and then you can stop Protoss attacks coming down these ramps with lurker blocks and burrowed lurkers basically in this main area that's like around my mineral only.
I'm gonna mention something that Rhett said when we were watching a replay that stuck with me. He was playing someone on Blue Storm who did a +1 Zealot rush, and the Protoss moved in, and Rhett lived the attack with basically, I think, a sunken and like a Zergling, if that. And I said like, wow, that was really close. And he said, well, it really needs to be close, or else I'm gonna be behind following up. So a lot of players will make a ton of units just trying to survive the +1 attack, and then they don't have enough drones, they don't have the right tech, and Protoss just expands, and Zerg actually finds himself behind despite living the attack. So that's something that really stuck with me and has affected my play since then.
Yeah, you can't start making links too early, and you can't start making links too late. You gotta have the right amount of drones, and you gotta have the right amount of links at the right time to be in a good position. And if you just barely live, that means you made a lot of drones and you got away well, because you made barely just enough defense to hold off an attack, and it means economically you're bound to be in a good position. However, in this game particularly, I'm playing a little bit more aggressive. I know that this map is really hard ZVP, so I just want to stop him from getting those expansions, because if he gets his mineral only, he gets like a general area just like I have to defend, and he'll have an easy time taking his 2 gas base. So I'm trying to be very aggressive here and, you know, stop this expansion and get a contain in while I, you know, build up my economy and eventually get high. But yeah, it's very important that you don't overmake lanes, you don't overmake drones. You gotta stop it in the most effective way possible. Then you're in good position.
Do you want to talk about how important scourging overlords is, and I guess any tricks or how you do it with Scourge?
I don't play ZVZ, so I never scourge overlords.
Sorry, I'm talking about observers. Ah, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, observers. I'm guessing right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because basically Protoss is gonna have a much bigger army than you, and if they do get some observers, they will break through and beat your contain. So Scourge is the perfect way to stall them and to give you time, and to give you time to get more expansions and more tech and better upgrades. And it's like if someone were to play ZDP and they were like perfect at Scourge and observers, they could contain however big an army. It wouldn't matter because they wouldn't have observers. So it's a really good way to stall Protoss, and it's a really good ZVP skill to have. You
I
always
guess
gotta try to have Scourges ready.
do you have them on a hotkey, or do you just grab them as you need?
This one's a very rushy part of the game for me, so basically what I'm doing is moving my units unhotkeyed and try to rally at his base, you know, try my best to keep him there. So right now I don't think much is hotkeyed, and I just try to pay attention and move in, just using my mouse and selecting and dragging.
Okay, so Keen's asking if he happens to get through. Say your Scourge died to an Archon or something, and he gets through this contain. What would you do to try to live, and how would you follow up?
Well, if he came through right now, it would mean I fucked up and I would have a really hard time. I would have to switch to, you know, turtle mode, and I would try to make some songs at the mineral only and get some more lurkers and just burrow them in strategic places and just have him come in and hopefully waste his units. Well, I would probably try to harass his expansions with like a small group of links, like over and over, just try to slow him down and hopefully barely live till I get Hive and enough gas for ultras. But it would be a very tough position, and if I lost this container right now, I'd be in trouble.
I mean, this seems to be an ideal situation. You've really held him back quite a long time here. There's going to come a point where Protoss eventually is going to break through. When does that normally happen, and what kind of tech level should I have when Protoss finally gets through my contain?
Yeah, hopefully you can hold him long enough till you have Hive and ultras and, you know, crack wings and a good enough economy to build up an army that will beat him back, and that's what you should really aim for. However, if you just get unlucky with your first pair of Scourges and he comes out early, you just gotta switch to like a more defensive mode and, you know, get dropped after Hive is done and try to get back into the game by dropping and being annoying with small groups of units and stopping expansions, picking things off, and then eventually a drop on his main or a drop on his expand. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Okay. So Intrigue is asking, how do you break out as Protoss? I mean, how do you counter someone with good Scourge micro? I know you're not a Protoss player, but what have Protoss players done against you that shows to be effective in breaking it?
Well, a good Protoss player will usually keep their observer really close to their Archon, and then when it comes out, when the Scourges come there, the Archon just takes him out. And they also get a shuttle going and do some harassment with that, or at least like drop like we're zealous as like a main and send it to my expand, keep me busy. And they just like he was just being like sloppy with observers. They were just hanging all over the place, and he needed more Archons and goons to just kill his observers and storms, because he hasn't stormed enough, if you ask me. Basically, it's all about good micro to beat this. You just gotta play against this a lot, and if Proto starts microing properly, then it becomes really hard for Zerg to keep to contain.
Do you want to talk a little about Hive Tech, when you go straight to Ultralisk, and when you might add Defilers instead, and when you're going to go pure just Ultraling, or when you're going to supplement them with Defilers as well?
Well, when I've played a game like this, where I'm containing him for most of the game, I feel like I'm ahead and doesn't have a massive army, I usually will go straight Ultra and just try to finish the game with Ultra Ling. But if it's like a very even game and we have the same number of bases or almost similar, I would go for more of a Swarm Ling Ultra mix with Plague, because you need to swarm. Once you get a critical number of Archons, you need swarm. You can't beat it with Ultralings, so it just depends on how the match is going. If it's even, I would definitely add swarm because you simply just can't do without it against Archons.
And do you normally get drop once you get to Hive, or is that only something you're going to do when you're behind?
I'll often get drop after Hive because there's a mid game, like maximum drops in the gates, or you know, other general attack buildings in the main can be extremely effective. So it's really good to get it like straight after Hive. If you get it before Hive, it's also an option, but I'd like to get that crackling upgrade done really fast because it really helps.
I guess, is this a style, the scourging of observers is really micro-intensive. Is this something you're going to recommend weaker players should look to do? I mean, not so much just to win games, but improving as well. Or is there another style that might be more well-suited for, or better suited for weaker players?
For weaker players, they can try to, you know, use their lurkers defensively and secure expansions with them, and you know, just put them in defensive positions so they don't have to pay attention to them anymore, and just play more defensively and more, you know, macro oriented. It might be a good idea for weaker players. But they have to keep in mind that also you have to have lings around harassing expansions, and you have to do something. You can't just let Protoss sit there and get an unbeatable amount of units.
Again, just as the replay's ending, I just want to emphasize the scouting. I mean, look at the map in this game compared to the other games we've seen from weaker players. Ret has overlords everywhere, just controlling, knowing what his opponent's up to, and he's got Zerglings at bottom right, denying the probe from expanding there. It's so critical.
Yeah, having Zerglings killing probes is so annoying for players. They have to go all the way back to their base, get another probe there, hope it lives, and things like that can buy you time to move in your army before cannons go up, and just little things like that that can really help.